Castle Goring, from Nikki, Aurora, and from me. Well, today I have some rather important matters to impart, some of which I have to tell you have come as quite a surprise to me, because some of my very well-informed and influential friends have been alerting me to certain highly extra democratic processes that are taking place in the country at the moment. And I use the word democratic in terms of democracy. But before I get into that, I am going to read out something from Patricia May, who says, "Dear Lady C, I enjoyed this wonderful and erudite presentation." Thank you. It was the last one. "It calms me a bit to hear that the Dems, I am an American, are not going to be taken in by her. I just heard that she has had several meetings with Gavin Newsom. This absolutely astonishes me. Apparently, she wants to know if she can be appointed to Dianne Feinstein's seat and if Gordon Getty, who financed Gavin's career, could help her. I am nervous as can be, I assure you. She is a malignant and out-of-control individual, and I don't think she will ever stop. Thank you again for your always sage and considered conversations. You are, a brilliant and a beautiful person." Nikki, come on, crush Mummy's head. It needs to be shrunken a bit. Oh, thank you, my dear. That's awfully kind of you. I understand the spirit. I don't take it totally literally, but I understand what you're saying. We are like-minded. Well, I have to tell you, you don't need to be worried. Not of what I've been hearing in the last 36 hours. You don't need to be at all put out. My understanding is that Gavin Newsom has got mightily fed up of Meghan Markle trying to nobble him for her to get Dianne Feinstein's seat for the remaining period of Dianne Feinstein's term, and along with the seat goes a place on the Intelligence Committee. Well, can you imagine what that would mean? That would mean not only would dear Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, have a right to all sorts of intelligence in the United States, but a worldwide. And of course, she would then demand to have her IPP status restored in the United Kingdom, along with Harry's, then the children's. And who would be paying for her security? You guys in the United States, but it's not going to happen. I understand that Gavin Newsom, and I understand this incidentally from somebody who is a lifelong Democrat, a great friend of Dianne Feinstein, and actually had a position in one of the Democratic administrations. I'm not going to say more than that because I'm not giving away the identity of the person. However, Meghan has misunderstood the whole situation. First of all, the Democrats are not willing to promote a loose cannon like Meghan. Secondly, Meghan doesn't seem to understand because clearly nobody has told her. So I'm going to tell you, and hopefully somebody will tell her. Gavin Newsom was Gordon Gettys' son's good friend. And Gordon and Anne Getty promoted him and bankrolled him and financed him and his political career. Because he was a family friend and they liked him and they also liked what he was about. I mean, talk about delusional. That woman is beyond delusional. However, evidently, according to this person who has long established links with the Democratic Party I'm not going to say anymore. Take it from me. It's somebody, as the French would say, impeccable. And Gavin Newsom has not only given his staff instructions to keep Meghan at bay, but he has blocked her from his mobile, evidently. Oh dear, poor Megsy baby. I feel a head cold coming on. Mickey, run and get me some Coke. Mickey, get me some Coke. I want to cheer myself up. Nothing makes me feel better than Coke. A nice drink of Coke. Coca-Cola. Of course, it also helps when you chase it with something rather more substantial in the way of liquor. But we're not going to go there because I'm not going to go down the route of repeating how when Megsy baby used to be disappointed, according to her, when her blogs, The Working Girl and The Tig, actually it was The Working Girl, she used to take to her bed when she was rejected with bottles of alcohol and drink herself into oblivion. So, I hope that answers the question, and I hope that you understand that there's nothing to fear. Patricia Woski says, OMG, here we go again. Lady C. With breaking news about Meghan and Harry leaving Montecito and moving to Malibu. They've secretly been looking at properties so they can be closer to Los Angeles. The article talks about all the Meghan projects coming down the pike, as Meghan will copy Oprah, heading her own syndicated daytime TV talk show, publish a magazine. Markle's new contract is a step to becoming a power player in the world of glitz, glamour, and the silver screen. I'm Norma Desmond, and I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. How are the Sussexes going to buy a Malibu dream home when they're cash poor right now? I feel a head cold coming on. Aurora, run, get Mummy some Coke. She needs to feel better. Nothing helps her like a little bit of Coke. Coca-Cola. Who is going to bankroll Meghan's career? Not Gordon Getty, if the Gettys have anything to do with it, that's for sure. Tyler Perry? Oh, those of you, my dear, who think that Tyler Perry is a marital prospect, I can tell you, Tyler Perry's interests lie elsewhere, I am told. So I think unless they're going to have a mariage blanc, there's no prospect. Can you imagine Tyler and Meghan having a white marriage? And it's got nothing to do with race either. Just keeping the sheets nice and pristine. Gordon Getty, not a chance. Not if the Gettys have anything to do with it. Oprah Winfrey? My dear, Oprah Winfrey is well known to bankroll herself and only that which suits her. Oprah Winfrey is evidently very much a quid pro quo girl. How do you think she became a billionaires? Remember, Oprah Winfrey started from nowhere with nothing and succeeded. She has achieved what Meghan would have liked to have achieved, except, of course, from the wrong side of the camera. Although Oprah was an actress, but never a leading lady, never a star, never a matinee idol, never a screen goddess like Meghan. Because this can't possibly happen without major financial investors backing it. Are you hearing anything from your contacts, my dear Lady C? By the way, you look stunningly beautiful today. So elegant and glamorous. Whenever that was, my dear, thank you very much. One does like to make an effort and likes to know that one's effort is rewarded. And to hear such compliments at 73, nearly 74, believe me, it's like manna from heaven. I certainly didn't expect it. And certainly not to be receiving compliments of that nature at my age. So I repeat them not only for the benefit that I derive from them, and I have to tell you, I love compliments like that, but because all of us older ladies need to know that we're still in the game. Just not that game. We leave that up to Meghan. Wicked me. Wicked me. We leave her playing those games. We will play different games. So, what am I hearing? I'm hearing that Meghan's been hitting brick walls. I'm hearing that sweet, darling, lovely Megsy baby is ripping her hair out because she realizes, well, ripping the hair of the 1,000 virgins from Turkey, Turkish virgins who have so generously donated to her scalp and the pristine quality of her locks. I gather she's ripping her hair out. And it's her hair, she bought it, so let's not be petty. Because everything's unraveling. Nobody loves Megsy baby anymore. Aurora, wake up. Get Matty a Coke. Matty needs to drink a Coke because Matty needs to console herself on Megsy baby's behalf. The idea that Meghan Markle will be a power player in Hollywood or anywhere else is quite frankly ludicrous. The woman doesn't have the talent, she doesn't have the personality, she doesn't have the intelligence, she doesn't have the depth, she doesn't have the knowledge, she doesn't have the personality, she doesn't have the character. Meghan Markle was only ever good as number 6 on the call sheet. And when she was made aware that her position was in danger and that her contract wasn't going to be interminable, she decided she'd better do something else that suited her better than suits. So she came to England, tried to get a slot on Made in Chelsea, a show about upper class British. She's neither British nor upper class, but we'll stop there. And when that failed, she tried to get Lizzie Cundy to introduce her to a rich and famous Englishman. And she managed to get Violet von Westenholz to introduce her to a rich and famous Englishman. And rather than capitalize upon what was on offer, she decided it wasn't good enough. And being royal wasn't grand enough for her, and she wasn't going to make enough money out of it as quickly as she intended. So she scooped him across the Atlantic, dropped him in Hollywood, since when they have been loading up those 16 lavatories with the substance of which she and he are both profoundly in excess of. And that's success? I don't think so. I think that is outstanding failure. The idea that she is going to become a power player in the world of glitz, glamour, and the silver screen. Give me a break. Not a chance. ECM says, I thought the Harkles separated and Hair Plugs is going to Africa by himself. Hair Plugs, I love it. There must be a red herring about, I think, my dear. There's a whole fleet of boats, all of which are bedecked with a red herring. I don't think we're speaking about one red herring. I think we're speaking about innumerable red herrings. You notice how it is. 1 week he's going to Africa and she's going to be the new Oprah. The next week she's going to be the new Oprah and they're going to buy a house in Malibu and they're going to move from Montecito, or maybe not, and maybe he's not going to go to Africa, but she's definitely going to knock Oprah off that perch. I mean, we are bombarded, but we are bombarded by rather more serious matters. And Meghan and Harry are small fry, but their antics are bringing to light all sorts of matters that we, the general public, should be aware of if we value our liberties and if we value the hard fought for gains of hundreds of years of ordinary people and extraordinary people challenging the system, challenging powers to give as many people as possible in the world the right of choice, the right of freedom, the right to have their own opinions and express them in a lawful manner. And I'm now going to this leads into Kitsy Dale says, from my observations, I have concluded that the information provided to the general public by the media has been controlled by a very few, very wealthy and powerful men. In recent years, YouTube has provided a platform for ordinary people to investigate and disseminate the reality behind the hype. This undermines their power base to regain control of the narrative without exposing too much truth. Personal attacks on outspoken individuals is a sneaky, underhand way of attempting to silence those exposing them. News in general now seems to be a mix of fiction and gossip. I find it all rather alarming and pathetic. Kitsy Dale, you're absolutely right. YouTube is invaluable. YouTube is a freedom in action. YouTube is the empowerment of ordinary people. YouTube allows people to have a platform that they would otherwise be denied under any other system. It is truly the most wonderful contributor at present to civil liberties and freedom of expression and civilization, because you see, civilization cannot progress without a free exchange of ideas. Civilization ossifies. Civilization ultimately dies if it is not allowed to progress. And to progress, it needs the push and pull of opposing and differing ideas, all of which are worked through in a civilized and constructive manner to enhance the well-being of citizens and the general improvement of man and, I suppose nowadays you have to say woman, humankind. And I'm just going to say man, I'm sorry. I was educated properly many years ago, and man was a generic term that applied to men and women. So let's just stick to man. Man's right to have an enhanced way of life. In the last few weeks, some significant challenges to your and my and everybody else's freedom have become very apparent. And there are groups of people involved in activities which seek to undermine and damage your and my right to an open and civilized discourse. The Nigel Farage debacle has shone a very important light on the nefarious goings-on between very rich and very powerful individuals who are not elected by the people and therefore do not represent the people. They represent their own interests. You are speaking about a combination of very rich people, bankers, and other unelected bodies which are trying to position themselves to deprive everybody all over the world of the civil liberties that our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, going back many centuries, have fought for and achieved. Don't think that civil liberties were handed to us. They were hard fought for gains. Read history. And I'm going back to before the Enlightenment. I'm going back to Magna Carta. That's 1215. That was one of the first significant achievements that man made in terms of the rights of individuals against the powers that be. And we are living in a world where there are blocks that are coming together. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm going to tell you what I'm speaking about. WHO is one of them. The World Health Organization is not elected by anybody. It's not accountable to anybody. It is funded to a large extent. It's headed up by Dr. Tedros, who is China's man and has always been, and was a member of the Ethiopian government of which the head Mengistu personally throttled the old Emperor Haile Selassie and had the Ethiopian people oppressed for some considerable length of time, all deprived of their civil liberties. The WHO at the moment is trying to get governments to agree that it can declare on the suspicion of the possibility of a pandemic. And notice how I've put it. Not an actual pandemic. To suspend our right to do anything except obey what the WHO directs all governments that we have voted for and we have elected. So our representatives would have to take orders from the World Health Organization, which nobody has voted into power. That's one present danger at the moment to civil liberties all over the world. Now, I'm all in favor, I have to tell you, of health, and I'm all in favor of good health. And I'm certainly not in favor of irresponsibility where health is concerned. But nor am I in favor of an unelected body accountable to no one being able to shut all of us down all over the world. And any government that signs up to the WHO initiative is actually signing away our hard fought for civil liberties rights. First thing. Second thing, commerce has now, it's been brought to my attention, commerce has its equivalent of the WHO, and it is called the Corp, B Lab, which was founded in 2006, if I'm not mistaken, by 3 American Stanford University graduates who are all super duper rich and financial whiz kids, who, having made their money, decided that they were going to create an organization that would improve humanity by such things as has now emerged, having us being dictated to by Greta Thunberg. I mean, you couldn't make this up. In a month of Sundays, you couldn't make this up. They now certify companies. Voluntarily, these companies are certified by them. And they have become reasonably successful. The first 82 certified B Corp companies were done in 2007. At the moment, there are over 2,900 certified B Corp companies in more than 60 countries, cutting across industries and sectors. Through intensive lobbying and promotion, it has expanded worldwide. In the UK, it grew at over 14% last year alone. Now, this is all deeply ominous because, as a part of the certification process, the businesses must sign a declaration of interdependence, which commits the company to using, wait for it, business as a force for good. So these three young men have now set themselves up as the Pope. 3 popes, but it's not the Pope of Rome. It's now the Pope of business. Their names, they are Stanford University alumni. Their names are J. Cohen Gilbert and Bart Houlihan and Andrew Kassoy. All Stanford University graduates, all multi-millionaires, very good at making money. And I'll tell you something, having come from a world of wealth and privilege, I can tell you the people who really love power are those who've made money recently. Once they've made money, they try to use their money to buy power. And all this woolly rhetoric cannot conceal the fact that these people are after creating an extra legal, beyond democratic, unaccountable to anybody except themselves network, which then forces companies, once they've signed up, to abide by the rules they have set. NatWest has signed up. And we come to the next university that is up to its neck, or maybe I should say up to its nose, in this stuff. And if you think it's brown and you smell it, you're right. Because we now have Durham University, and we have 3 alumni from Durham University, but we'll get to those in a second, who you now have. This organization has spread its tentacles since 2006 worldwide. It is, and its values are behind the cancelling of Nigel Farage's bank account. That's right. Alison Rose is one of them. She has colleagues who are up to their neck in this. On the British side, with the British University, we have Durham University, and we have 3 women who are pushing this agenda. Aside from Alison Rose, who signed up for everything, and the first head to be lopped off was Nigel Farage's, not because, as she lied and told the BBC, he didn't have enough money in his account, but because they regarded him as xenophobic, because he is a British nationalist who spearheaded the Brexit campaign. And they said he was a racist, and there is no doubt he's not a racist. And they also thought that because he had tweeted a joke that Ricky Gervais had told, that was terrible. The ethos is at fault. But so there's Alison Rose, there is her, and she's the CEO of NatWest, which is one of the largest banks in this country and is 39% owned by the taxpayer. So wait for it. Nigel Farage has to pay his tax, owns a part of the bank, as does every other taxpayer in this country. However, he's not allowed to have an account there because Alison Rose has signed up all the NatWest banks, including Coutts, to be Corp's philosophy, which is particularly woke and clearly does not allow for any disagreement with its philosophy. This is a new form of paganism. It's a new religion, but it's a religion where the god isn't even money. The god is the diktats of a few rich people who are then going to tell everybody else what they should believe and how they should perform, even though the people who they are then ordering around, dictating, this is dictatorship, this is totalitarianism, creeping totalitarianism, and it's totally unaccountable and unelected. And they are doing it on the basis of the fact that they are successful and richer than you and me. And of course, the third person involved is Camilla Stoll, who also is a Durham University graduate. And also, she is the managing director of Coutts. So you have a cross-pollination of, and these people are very closely affiliated. The three founders of B Corp have been honoured by the Aspen Institute, which wants to regulate who can say what to whom, when and where. So not only are they shutting down bank accounts, but they are also shutting down critics, or wanting to. I'm going to read out something that I was sent. This entity and the legal manacles that this is from one of the leading accountants in this country who brought all of this to my attention. This entity and the legal manacles that it requires companies which sign up for its certificate to be bound in. This is a method of bypassing parliamentary oversight of UK law, statutes and precedents, and imposing very powerful bylaws directly in companies, charities, etc., to align them with the Greta Thunbergs of this world. Incidentally, Harry, as we all know, is a fellow of the Aspen Institute, as and these three founders, Houlihan, and the other two whose names escape me at the moment, they have been honoured by the Aspen Institute. And I'm going to read out something else that this top accountant has said. B Corp and B Lab, because it was founded as B Lab in 2006, and it's called B Corp, so it's interchangeable, is a global entity which reshapes the private law governing companies and other commercial entities in such a way as to cement the most sinister aspects of wokism into the very operating routines of the business. These bylaws are separately written for each business signing up to B Corp certified status. They are non-negotiable. May I intervene at this stage and say companies that once they sign up that then leave are often trashed. One company that successfully left and has managed to survive without anything untoward happening to it is Etsy. But clearly, a company like Coutts would be terribly worried because of the people who are heading it up. They're not worried about the shareholders. They're not worried about the rights of their clients. They're worried about keeping in with the Andrew Cassoys and Bart Houlihans and Jay Cohen, whatever his name is, his surname is, Gilbert. They're worried about keeping in with their fellow right thinkers. Well, they're entitled to their opinions. They are not, however, entitled to end up infiltrating companies. This is what the communists did. This is what the Nazis did. This is outrageous stuff. This is private individuals doing a version of communism and Nazism. This is outrageous stuff. Anyway, I'm going to continue reading. It is a global entity which reshapes the private law, in quotes, governing companies and other commercial entities in such a way as to cement the most sinister aspects of wokism into the very operating routines of the business. These bylaws are separately written for each business signing up to B Corp certified status. They are non-negotiable. It's a dictatorship, incidentally, but it's a dictatorship where the employees of the company willingly surrender their rights. These conditions are non-negotiable. The people then working in and for the company and the shareholders who own the company are then forced, big block capitals, to follow the B Corp rules indefinitely or risk decertification and public shaming, hence the ejection of Nigel Farage from Coutts. This very process is about to engulf the UK's professional service firms, leaving very few and mostly smaller ones untainted. If the B Corp poison infects the institutes which supervise the smaller companies, then those smaller companies will either be closed down or face having to close themselves down and be deregistered as a professional firm, or the alternative is they will have to ingest this poison. He ends up by saying, all very alarming and something to raise the biggest stink about. I agree. This is what is going on. Harry and Meghan are also involved with this. Harry is a royal prince. Harry has no business being involved with any institute that seeks to regulate the liberties of the citizens of democratically elected countries who are obliged to follow the laws of the country. Harry and Meghan are not above the law. J. Cohen Gilbert, Bart Houlihan, and Andrew Cassoy are not above the law. They don't have the right to set themselves up as dictators of what we, the shareholders, and we, the general public, can and can't do. And it is outrageous that in less than 20 years, these three rich and very effective and very capable men have been able to achieve what they have achieved. Nor are they the only ones, because they have people, for instance, Deval Patrick, this ex-governor of Massachusetts, is up to hair with it as well. He's a Democrat. Fine, I have nothing. Oh, incidentally, may I interject at this point and say, to those of you who think that I was giving a big shout out for President Biden, I was doing no such thing. I was simply using language clearly and constructively and correctly. And if you misinterpret, as some people have done, what the description of consummate politician is, I am not praising him. I am not criticizing him. I am describing him. But anyway, because not all of these people are Democrats in the United States, and not all of them are Labour in this country. Some of them are Conservatives. So it's got nothing to do with party politics. This is about who wants to dictate to whom. Anyway, you have Deval Patrick, who is dedicated to developing progressive change in swing districts. He's also involved. I'm awfully sorry. They have the right to espouse their sentiments. They do not have the right to have independent companies under their dictates. And if independent companies which are publicly listed, wish to go down that route, which is the route that Alison Rose has chosen for the NatWest group of companies, it should be put to a shareholders' vote. The shareholders have a right. Alison Rose is on £5.2 million per annum. She's not interested in anything at this point but her glory. And she thinks she's going to achieve it by depriving citizens in this country of their right to an account because she doesn't agree with their politics, nor does her fellow alumna from Durham University, Camilla Stoll. Sorry, the whole thing stinks to high heaven. This is the beginning. I can guarantee you're going to hear a lot more about all of this, not necessarily from me, and hopefully not from me, but you will hear an awful lot more about this from an awful lot more people, far more important and powerful and better placed than I am to hopefully affect the mood of the moment so that these crashing dictators are put in their place. You know, Alison Rose says that climate change is her dictating consideration, not the well-being of the bank, not the well-being of the shareholders, who incidentally, as I said earlier, include 39% every single member who's a taxpayer in this country of the populace. Climate change. I would suggest Alison Rose get off her arse, to be crude about it, and research the Green Sahara and the effect that volcanoes have on the climate before she decides that she is going to put a belief before her obligation, not only to the shareholders, but to her clients, including Nigel Farage. I think the whole thing is outrageous, a violation of our civil liberties. But there is a group of very rich people, all of whom know each other and all of whom who are interconnected with each other, who are trying to deprive you and me and Nigel Farage of our lawful rights. And I am delighted that the Prime Minister and other members of the government have come out firmly condemning such conduct. And on that note, I will say thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been of some interest to you. Please keep the questions and comments coming in, and hopefully the next time we can deal with something with less gravity. But I thought this is really important for us to address. Thank you so much. God bless. And if you have really enjoyed this, please like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and Godspeed.